Well, here we are again. The leaves are just starting to think about turning, and there's that little hint of a chill in the morning air. And you know what that means. We all start wondering about the winter ahead. Will it be a winter wonderland? Perfect for skiing? Cozy nights by the fire? Or will it be a mild season, sparing us from the back-breaking work of shoveling? It's a question that gets everyone talking, from kids hoping for a snow day to city officials planning their salt budgets. This annual curiosity isn't just small talk, it's a fundamental human desire to prepare. So, how do we actually figure out what winter has in store months in advance? It's not about looking into a crystal ball, I can tell you that. It's all about science data, powerful computers. Long-range forecasting is like putting together a giant global puzzle. We start with massive, slow-moving climate patterns that drive the season. El Niño, La Niña. These patterns can change the weather for millions of people. Enter the supercomputers. They ingest trillions of data points, weather balloons, satellites, ocean buoys, weather stations worldwide. They run complex mathematical equations, climate models, to simulate months ahead. We don't run just one model, we run dozens. Each model gives a slightly different outcome. By comparing simulations, we find a consensus and build a more confident seasonal forecast. Areas may be colder, warmer, wetter, snowier than average. Remember, seasonal forecasts are not daily forecasts. We're not predicting a blizzard for a specific Tuesday in January. We forecast the overall character of the season. Will winter 2025-2026 be colder and snowier than the 30-year average? That's the question we're trying to answer. For the winter of 2025 to 2026, the big story is the expected return of La Niña. So what is La Niña? It's a natural climate pattern marked by cooler than average sea surface temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific near the equator. Think of it as a giant cold patch in the ocean that sends a ripple through the atmosphere. That ocean change alters the path of the jet stream, the fast-moving river of air high above us. When the jet stream shifts, our weather on the ground shifts too. Historically, La Niña winters have a distinct personality for North America. The altered jet stream typically brings colder, stormier weather to the northern US and across much of Canada. It acts like a storm-track superhighway, guiding systems from the Pacific eastward. Pacific Northwest, Northern Rockies, Great Lakes region parts of the Northeast often see above-average snowfall. Skiers and snowboarders get excited, and for good reason. On the flip side, La Niña often creates opposite conditions across the southern US. With the storm track shifted north, the southern states tend to be warmer and drier. Less snow for places like the southern Appalachians, and drought concerns in places like Texas, Florida, the Southwest. So while the north bundles up and digs out, the south enjoys a milder, sunnier season. It truly creates a winter of contrasts. Alright, let's break down what this La Niña pattern means for the good old USA. It's shaping up to be a classic tale of two winters. For the northern half of the country, get your shovels and snowblowers ready. Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon colder, wetter season, heavy mountain snowpack, Mount Hood, Mount Baker. Trend continues east across the northern Rockies, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Jackson Hole. That storm track is then expected to barrel across the upper Midwest and into the Great Lakes region. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan could be in for a classic, tough winter with above-average snowfall and more frequent cold snaps. The Great Lakes themselves will play a big role. As long as they remain relatively ice-free, they'll provide the moisture for significant lake-effect snow events, burying cities like Buffalo, Syracuse. Further east, the interior Northeast and New England are also favored to see an active winter with plenty of snow, especially in the mountains of Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. Meanwhile, the southern half of the country is looking at a very different picture. From California and the Southwest all the way across to the Southeast, the forecast calls for a generally warmer and drier than average winter. This means cities like Los Angeles, Phoenix, and Dallas are likely to experience a mild season with fewer cold fronts. The big question mark, as always, is the Mid-Atlantic and the major I-95 corridor cities like Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. These areas are often on the battleground line between the cold, snowy air to the north and the mild air to the south. Our good neighbors to the north are in for a truly classic Canadian winter thanks to this La Niña pattern. The forecast across most of the country points towards a colder and a snowier season than recent years. Starting on the west coast, British Columbia is poised for a phenomenal winter. The typical La Niña storm track slams into the BC coast delivering copious moisture. For ski resorts like Whistler Blackham, This is the dream scenario: deep powder and a long, snowy season. Moving east into the prairies, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, each is bracing for the cold. La Niña can let frigid Arctic air plunge southward, bringing prolonged deep freezes and biting wind chills. This winter could test resilience with temperatures well below average. Cities like Calgary, Edmonton should prepare for a relentless winter with plenty of snow to shovel. In the east, Ontario, Quebec sit in a prime position for a very active winter. They'll be at the crossroads of Arctic air from the north and moisture-laden storms from the south. That recipe means frequent, significant snowstorms, especially in southern Ontario and Quebec, including the Toronto to Montreal corridor. The Great Lakes will be a major snowmaking machine fueling the snowbelts of Ontario. Ottawa should budget for heavy snow removal, likely a winter wonderland. Finally, Atlantic Canada, Nova Scotia. New Brunswick, Newfoundland, faces a stormy, volatile winter. The region is famous for powerful nor'easters, and La Niña could boost their frequency and strength. Now let's hop across the pond and take a look at the winter forecast for Europe. While La Niña's effects are strongest in North America, it still nudges European weather, often subtly. The primary driver for Europe's winter is the North Atlantic Oscillation, or NAO. The NAO is a pressure difference, the Icelandic low, the Azores high. When the NAO is negative, it blocks the usual west to east flow of mild Atlantic air, allowing cold air to pour south into Europe. Models for winter 2025-2026 show a weaker jet stream and more frequent negative NAO patterns. What does that mean for snowfall? Scandinavia, Northern Europe, the UK, Ireland. Colder than average winters with increased odds of significant snow. Instead of the usual mild, damp, windy winter, blocking patterns could pull cold air from Siberia and the Arctic. That raises the probability of widespread, disruptive snow, especially across the UK. Moving into Central and Eastern Europe, Germany, Poland, Austria, forecasts lean colder and snowier than average. Repeated exposure to eastern cold air masses is likely. The Alps could see an exceptional ski season with heavy, frequent snowfall. In contrast, southern Europe and the Mediterranean will likely differ. Spain, Italy, Greece, often on the milder side of these blocks. So, much like in the US, Europe faces stark north to south contrasts this winter. All this talk about storm tracks and pressure patterns is interesting, but what does it actually mean for your day-to-day life? Well, a snowy winter can have a huge impact on just about everything. Let's start with the morning commute. In regions forecast for above-average snow, Great Lakes Northeast travel is going to be a major challenge. More snow means more frequent delays on roads and highways, slower public transit, and a higher risk of accidents. It means leaving for work earlier, spending more time clearing snow off your car, and having a lot more patience. Air travel is another area that will feel the effects significantly. Airports in hubs like Chicago, Toronto, Boston will likely face an increased number of delays and cancellations due to snow and icing conditions. These disruptions don't just affect one airport, they create a domino effect across the continent and even internationally. If you have travel plans this winter, especially for the holidays, book direct flights if you can. Consider travel insurance and be prepared for potential changes to your itinerary. Of course, for kids and maybe some teachers, heavy snow has a major upside: snow days. School districts in the snow-heavy zones will be watching the forecast closely, and we can expect an increase in school closures. This is great for a day of sledding, but it can be a challenge for working parents who need to arrange last-minute childcare. On the fun side of things, a snowy winter is a huge boost for outdoor recreation. Ski resorts, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, ice fishing, snowmobiling. Beyond travel and school, a harsh winter impacts our homes and our budgets. Colder temperatures mean higher heating bills, as our furnaces work overtime to keep us warm. City and town budgets will be stretched thin to cover the costs of plowing and treating roads. Winter is so much more than just a forecast, it's a season full of incredible and surprising facts. For instance, did you know that all snowflakes are not in fact unique? In 1988, a scientist in Wisconsin found 2 identical snow crystals from a single storm. While it's incredibly rare, it is possible. Most snowflakes are, however, unique because they take slightly different paths from the sky to the ground, causing them to form in their own special way. They always have 6 sides, or arms, which is due to the way water molecules bond together when they freeze into ice crystals. Let's talk about some record-breaking snow. The record for the most snow in a single 24-hour period in the United States belongs to Silver Lake, Colorado, which received an incredible 76 inches. that's over 6 feet, of snow in April 1921. And for a single season, the record goes to Mount Baker Ski Area in Washington State, which was buried under 1,140 inches, that's 95 feet, of snow during the 1998 to 1999 winter season. Interestingly, that was also a strong La Niña year, which shows just how powerful that pattern can be for the Pacific Northwest. Have you ever heard of thundersnow? It's a rare and amazing phenomenon where a snowstorm is accompanied by thunder and lightning. It happens when there's an unusual amount of instability and moisture in the atmosphere during a winter storm, creating the same conditions that cause a summer thunderstorm, but with snow instead of rain. The snow acts as an acoustic suppressor, so the thunder often sounds more like a low, deep rumble than a sharp crack. If you ever get to experience thundersnow, you'll know you're witnessing something truly special in the world of weather. And finally, what makes us feel cozy in the winter? There's a cultural concept for it in many northern countries: Denmark, Norway, Sweden. These ideas show how people have learned not just to endure winter, but to embrace it as a time for comfort, connection, and quiet joy. So, with a potentially wild winter on the horizon for many of us, how can we prepare? Being proactive is the best way to handle whatever nature throws at us. First things first, let's get our homes ready. Have your furnace inspected and serviced before the first cold snap. Check the insulation in your attic and walls. Seal drafts around windows and doors with weather stripping or caulk. These small steps can lower heating bills and make your home more comfortable. Next, let's talk about your car. Winterizing your vehicle is a critical safety step. Make sure your tires have plenty of tread. Switch to winter tires if you get heavy snow and ice. Check your battery. Cold weather is hard on it. Top off all fluids, especially windshield washer fluid. Install winter wiper blades. Put together a winter emergency kit for your car. Blanket extra gloves, hat flashlight portable phone charger snacks, water small shovel. Build a winter preparedness kit for your home. Be ready for a multi-day power outage. Non-perishable food bottled water. Aim for 1 gallon per person per day. Necessary medications, flashlights with extra batteries, battery powered or hand crank radio, warm blankets or sleeping bags for every family member. If you have a fireplace or wood stove, get your chimney cleaned. Have a good supply of dry firewood ready to go before the first storm hits. Finally, prepare yourself. Invest in a good winter coat. Waterproof boots with good traction, warm gloves, a hat, a scarf. Dress in layers so you can add or remove clothing as needed. Stock up on rock salt or ice melt for walkways and driveway before the first storm. A little preparation goes a long way in making winter safer, more comfortable, and much more enjoyable. Stay safe and stay warm.